Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're like me and apparently 73 million others, you may have come across this video or clips from this video that shows this bike that appears to have two halves of a wheel separated from each other, and yet it can somehow still drive, even though it looks like it's gonna fail every step of the way, or every pedal of the way, since it's a bicycle. It actually appears to be a pretty smooth ride, as you can see right here. Now, if somehow you haven't seen this video yet, I'm gonna leave a link to the full thing down in the description so you can actually see how this thing was built. So I'm gonna try to do my best to recreate this idea of having two halves of a wheel separate from each other and see if I can have as smooth of a ride as we appear to have here. So let's hop over into Scrap Mechanic and see how easy or hard it's gonna be to try to recreate this. All right, so I have one major disadvantage in Scrap Mechanic, and that is the fact that I cannot take an existing part and just simply cut it in half. It'd be really nice if I could just cut this wheel in half, but that's not how this game works. I'm gonna have to build my own half of a wheel in order to do this. So it just so happens when I type the word wheel, I actually have a pre-built wheel that I think the dimensions are gonna work good enough. It's not gonna be the smoothest edges, but we're gonna add suspension onto this thing and it'll smoothen that right out, I hope. So now with this, it should be easy enough to just delete the middle, and there we go. We've now got our two halves. However, each of these two halves also need a center attachment point. And there we go. Now they will both be rotating about the same kind of center point. Now all I gotta do is build the vehicle in which these things are going to attach to and make sure that they're able to rotate in sync with each other, because if these things get off sync with each other, then we're pretty much gonna have a bad time. We might as well just have a half a wheel outright. So now obviously the original creation was a bicycle. I don't think I'm gonna go, well, I guess it's still a bicycle, right? It has three different objects rotating, but two of them are only half a wheel, so I guess the total of two wheels still makes sense. But I am not gonna do a bicycle just because I don't want to have to deal with balance. So I'm gonna do a tricycle in a way, and this is gonna be the front wheel instead of the back wheels. Okay, so getting a feel for the dimensions of this thing, this is going to be the front wheel, if you will. It's still just one wheel, it's just kind of split in half here. Okay, so as I'm building out the wheel mechanism here, I actually thought of an interesting idea to try to add some more spice into this. Not only am I gonna have it steer from here, but I think I want to add steering into this wheel mechanism itself so that the front half can actually pivot a little bit to give like a turning shape to the front wheel as we turn, to help with the turning, I hope. That's the plan, at least. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to create this weird workaround right here to put a steering bearing. And then I can re-weld that, and I was gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then that should make the front wheel be able to steer independently of the back wheel. I mean, the front half of the wheel. You know what I mean. All right, there we go. Oh, wait, that's not... Is that gonna work? I don't know if that's gonna work. Hold on, I gotta do a quick test here. Okay, it kind of works a little bit, but it's not as much as it should be steering, and that is because these bearings are offset from each other. It creates a resistance up here because as it pivots back and forth, there's a shearing happening on this part. You can kind of see, yeah, if you watch that bearing on the right side, you can see it's trying to shear off of the bearing. So I need to add some more to this. Okay, so now I have inadvertently created a wishbone. So although it turns without the shearing aspect, it now keeps the wheel in line with the direction that we're going, which is not gonna give us the intended result at all. So I'm realizing what needs to happen in order to get this wheel to actually angle to the other side is one of these sides needs to extend and the other side needs to contract, basically. So I'm gonna use pistons to make this thing turn. Okay, so now I have the opposite problem. The pistons totally work in the way that they turn the wheel now, but unfortunately the frame that contains the wheel does not turn with the wheel, which means that the wheel is now colliding if it spins with the frame. So I think I have one other solution, and that is to simplify this a little bit so that the turning point comes from in between the two wheels. There we go. So now if this turning point is centered like this, then I don't have to worry about that shearing effect, and the whole frame is just gonna turn with the wheel. Okay, so now it finally seems like it's going to work as intended. I can turn it left and right. The wheel is going to stay contained within that frame, and we should be all good for this part. So now I gotta figure out how to attach it. back to this part right here. So I'll have suspension attached directly to the wheel itself. And then I'm gonna use wedges to build up to the handlebars. All right, that should be the right length. So if I weld right here, we're pretty much in contact with the ground. All of the wheels look aligned. All right, it is now attached. It looks okay so far. This is gonna be really interesting to see how this works, especially since, like, this is a pivot point right here. Maybe I should have attached it back here or up in the middle. This may have been a mistake. I don't think I should have attached it at the rotation point. I'm gonna make a modification because of that. Okay, here is the new attachment point. I think that's gonna be more stable. It's gonna keep it more level. So now is the challenge of making this thing drive. Now, I'm gonna start off using a gas engine, and that's gonna be a bad idea because the gas engine is not going to have any mechanism in which to keep these front halves in sync with each other rotation wise. So they're gonna get out of sync with each other, and then it's gonna be a bumpy ride, and I think that's gonna be entertaining to try to see what happens when they get out of sync. But then I'll try to actually solve that problem and get them in sync with each other. But first, let me see what the actual steering feels like now. Oh boy. Oh, that is already terrible. All right, so, oh man, we're suffering from the tricycle issue here, the three-wheeler problem. Steering is not very stable. I gotta make my my wheelbase a little bit wider on this because it's such a big vehicle. All right, that's a little bit better. No more tipping over. Okay, let's go ahead and attach the engine to these ones up here and these ones only. So we're not going to be rear wheel powered at all. It's just going to be powered by these front wheels. And then I'll go ahead and reset it on the lift so that the wheels are aligned with each other. And let's see what happens here. All right, here it goes. Oh, those are backwards. Oh no. You know what's going to happen here? Because the gas engine is fixed speed but adjustable power, whatever wheel doesn't have resistance is going to spin more, making this it's just not going to work at, oh no. Actually, like, yeah, see, that's not how this is supposed to go at all. It doesn't work as bad as I thought it. I thought it was gonna be a way bumpier ride than this. This is really strange, but perhaps the alignment of them isn't nearly as important as I suspected. Hold on a second here. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do an experiment and freeze up this wheel. This wheel is now no longer gonna spin. What if we just have half a wheel? Like, everything else is normal, but it's just half. All right, see? Well, actually, this is really surprising me at how stable this is. I want to see this in real life. You know what? Oh, see, there we go. Once we lack speed, yeah, that's the issue right there. Then you're gonna fall over. So that wouldn't really work well in real life. You know, I don't think this thing is heavy enough. If this was like a bicycle with a human sitting on it, there would be a decent amount of weight pushing the wheels down. I think we're too light of a vehicle right now, and that's what's allowing us to get away with this. All right, let's see if this feels any different. Oh yeah, it's struggling now, which was to be expected. Okay, so that's what I would expect more of it to feel like, which is half a wheel. So now, let's get the other wheel back in here and involved. All right, so with the other wheel, it's slightly better, but still terrible because we're lacking the crucial component of the wheels syncing up with each other and actually covering for the blind spots of the other wheel. Now, the electric engine is going to be an improvement to keeping these things in sync, but it is not a guarantee. They could still very easily fall out of sync if they encounter enough variable resistance between them. But let's see how it feels. Okay. Ooh, look at that. I mean, we're going really slow right now, but it feels like, it doesn't feel like we have two separate wheels hardly at all. There's a slight up and down when it switches from like the back to the front wheel. But other than that, oh, you can see, yep, they're definitely a little bit out of sync now. They're no longer perfectly in sync. But let's bump the engine up a little bit more. Okay, that might be too much. All right, it's slightly faster now. Only slightly, and yeah, I can already see they're out of sync, and there's that drop. There's that drop in the blind spot. There's like a 25% overlap. Oh, now it's increasing even more. They're starting to line up with each other, and now they're completely, we just basically have half a wheel at this point. It's terrible. Yeah, so we were able to go for longer without getting misaligned, and it feels a lot more stable with the constant speed output that the electric engine has. But as you can see, the more speed we put into it, then the less stable it is. So now I have one other solution, although our speed is going to be extremely limited. In order to guarantee that they're going to stay in sync with each other, we actually have to hook them up to a controller. And this controller is going to be programmed to make these things rotate at 360 degrees, looping as fast as they can go, which isn't going to be that fast, I don't think. But now, with that hooked up to the seat, they should always stay in sync with each other. All right, here we go. Oh, look at that. It is so smooth. Now there's not even hardly that up and down feel. It's just like a normal vehicle now. All right, let's try some turning. Oh boy. All right, we have the issue with, you know, just like any three-wheeled car. If you turn too sharp with only 3 wheels, you're not gonna have a good time. I'm gonna lower the angle, the steering angle, make it a little bit more subtle. We're gonna go 10 degrees, especially since we have essentially 2 steering angles going into each other. All right, this should be a little bit better. Now remember, the back wheels are completely unpowered. We are being pulled completely by those front wheels, and here's much more stable turning. Look at that. This is our max speed, by the way. I can't make the controller spin these wheels any faster, but it totally works. It works perfectly. You know what the only thing this thing is missing is a paint job and maybe a little bit more handlebar action. All right, and look at this thing go. It is like, it's just as smooth as a ride as if it was a normal wheel up in front. I mean, and also, keep in mind that this wheel isn't even perfectly round. It's got edges, it's got corners, it's a blocky wheel. But let's try it over some uneven terrain. Let's see how uneven terrain feels. We got some train tracks over here because one of the issues potentially is if you catch a corner on the wrong end, like what's gonna happen? Okay, that wasn't like terrible. It was all right. All right, but here's gonna be a much truer test. We've got some uneven terrain here, some more natural uneven terrain than train tracks. And oh, yep, now I can see some of the weaknesses. This thing is great on flat ground, but as soon as you start getting on uneven terrain, then it no longer starts to feel like just a normal wheel anymore. The corners, the edges of the wheel where the wheel breaks into its half, when those get caught on an uneven section of terrain, it is not good. It is not good for the wheel at all. It flings you up. It definitely has a collision effect. It definitely feels like you're hitting. Yep, there it goes again. You really gotta hope you don't encounter any uneven terrain with this thing. Okay, yep, this is just not nearly as good of a time over this kind of terrain. And so you know what? I think we need to do a A/B comparison. Let's put a normal sized wheel on this thing and see how it compares. All right, here we go. Everything else is the same about this, except now it is just a single wheel. And look at how much smoother it is. Look at that. So don't be fooled. It looks super smooth in the video, but that only applies to flat terrain. It is so much worse. So much worse on uneven terrain. That is, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting that big of a difference. All right, look at it. It feels like we're going way faster and we're having no issues. It feels super smooth just rolling over the apex of each hump here. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it to feel this smooth with just the one wheel. All right, and then let's go back to the other one. All right, and check it out. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible in comparison. Any type of uneven terrain and all the magic goes away. Now it functions how you thought it would function when you first look at the image. You're like, there's no way that's gonna work. There's no way that works. And this is what you would expect it to do. But once we get on flat terrain like this, it feels smooth as a regular wheel. So that was really interesting comparison. So I guess we're probably not going to see half wheels like this make it to the mainstream anytime soon. I mean, unless you just have consistently like the flattest roads ever and you never have to drive over any bumps or anything like that. Imagine a speed bump. Yeah, that would not be great. Well, I hope you guys learned something interesting from this. I definitely did. Some unexpected results here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more stuff that you can find on the channel right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.